Hi everybody, Scott here. I'm sorry I couldn't make the Zoom today. I was stuck in traffic in an ice storm, so I didn't get to make it today. So I'm going to try one of these in 8 minutes. That's not very long, so bear with me. Uh, Unconditional positive regard. Like this is the most important tool, like as a behavior specialist, that I have in my tool belt. It My job cannot be done without unconditional positive regard. And the driving force, like the engine behind unconditional positive regard, in my opinion, and I think the material this week supports that, is grace. Without grace, unconditional positive regard is so hard. It's exhausting. Um, Grace allows us to, like Vanette said in her keynote, um, like to do away with the checklists and to like do away with the ifs and the buts and the not reallys. She said there's no checklist, there's no condition that needs to be met for me to be able to welcome you, to honor you, respect you, to value your opinion, and grace is like the tool that we use to make that possible, especially when coworkers are demanding justice or that we fix the problem. We have a lot of pressure coming in from all sides as teachers, to get kids back on track and back in class and regulated and just ready to go in 10 minutes so they can go back to their test. Having um, grace allows us to filter out those precipitating factors that students come to school with, being hungry or being yelled at or coming from a abusive home or anything like that. It allows us to separate the student from their behavior, that rational detachment, like CPI would call it rational detachment, that ability to um, distinguish between the student and their behavior, um, which is phenomenally powerful tool that we have um, at our disposal. I think that question, like that was raised in the feedback versus praise, that the article by Ciati, that like there's absolutely a space for praise and feedback, in my opinion, from my experience in education and just working with human beings in general, is that praise, if done correctly, not like hollow or empty praise, like contrived praise, but genuine praise, um, is great for achieving like short-term goals. Like you're trying to instill the habit of raising your hand before blurting out. You can use praise as a reinforcing tool to establish that foundation. Um, like, good job, buddy. Like, it doesn't have to be super elaborate, but those little tiny bits of praise help reinforce a concept. And feedback, in my opinion, um, makes progress toward a goal, like a long-term goal, once that relationship has been established, through getting to to know them, or through uh, building that that art of communication, like that feedback versus praise article talked about. Um, it is a dance. It is an art form that you can master. Like it doesn't matter what you say as much as how you say it, your body language, your tone. You could say the exact same thing to three different people and they would understand it differently just because of what they're going through, their own personal filter that they're filtering things through. Um, you can tell somebody she didn't take her earpods. Earpods? I'm so old. She didn't take her AirPods. And depending on what word you emphasize, that sentence can take on two entirely different meanings. She said she didn't take her AirPods versus she said she didn't take her AirPods. Those have two entirely different meanings. And holy moly, I've only got 2 minutes left. How do you people do this? Um, what challenged me the most is that concept of saying you're so smart. You're smart at this. That's a phrase that was ingrained in our heads for years. Just encourage kids that they're smart. And I am so guilty of this. And I've started this week flipping that script and saying, you worked really hard at this. The effort you put into this was so beautiful. And it has really changed the demeanor of my students. They feel like prouder. They look a little taller. They're like, hey, you realized what effort I put into this. It was really eye opening to me. Just that simple script change. Um, how do I see this impacting me in the future? The one thing that I really want to focus on is the art of giving feedback. I have to, in my job, I have to deliver a lot of bad news and a lot of feedback on super negative instances. Like families or students are involved in meeting with our parole officer or student resource officer about a, a threat or a sexual incident that happened on campus. And my job is to sit down and go over that situation with the student and bring up all of those hard things. And I have to provide feedback based on interviews and the police reports and all of these things. And I've just been really challenged by this week's material to just wrap everything that I do in so that it produces hope in a way that even negative feedback or bad news can be seasoned with grace. That is my personal challenge. And I know I'm out of time, but I wanted to end with in the book Fostering Resilient Learners, they talked about your cookie, the thing that provides you with that reward you personally. Like, what's the story that shaped you into who you are as an educator? And I have to share this story. During COVID, there was a high school student who I ran into at Walmart, and he ran up and he gave me a hug. And this random stranger across the aisle yelled, 6 feet, you bleepity bleep. Do you want to kill us all? And this high school kid said, lady, if it weren't for this guy, I'd have been dead already. And that hit me to the core. And I remember that quote on days when it's hard to do what we do. And so if you're responding to this video, I would love to hear your cookie. What is the story that motivates you the most from a student that you've worked with or a colleague that you've worked with? What is your cookie, and how has that motivated you to fight the good fight and to keep on keeping on? Thank you, guys. Much love. I missed you on the Zoom this week. Be safe out there.